I'm going to share with you my best tips for raising creative kids. I have very prolific children. They are always telling stories and creating things, and it can fill the whole day. They wake up, hit the ground running, ready to go in creating something. So last week we talked about modeling creativity, and by just doing it ourselves is a great way to cope when we don't feel like being around anybody. It's a great option to just get outside and create something. This is turning into like an impromptu series about creative children. So today we're talking about best tips for raising creative kids, and next week I'm going to share with you what to do with all the stuff your kids create, so keep your eyes out for that.
Hi, I'm Jessica Jackson, and this is the new way to thrive in motherhood by leaning into who you are, what you love, your unique family situation and personal mission to create a life that you actually want to live. I want to invite you to join me in saying no to the life of the exhausted supermom, burnout, victim thinking, being pulled in so many directions, suffering through survival mode, or being lost in motherhood, and say yes to building strong families and moving forward on our greatest goals in order to create a fulfilling life that we are excited to wake up to each day and become a soaring mother. This is the Thriving in Motherhood podcast.
If you are enjoying today's episode, check out the 5-step path from surviving to thriving checklist. This is a great resource for you during the summer when things are different and it can start to feel like you are in survival mode because the circumstances are different and it's just a little bit crazy. This will help give you just a very quick glance about where you're at along that path and what you can do to start feeling a little more empowered and confident and navigating your days right now, today. You can get that at thrivingandmotherhoodpodcast.com/checklist. So if you are starting from scratch with creativity with your kids, or even if you're not, here are some things that we have done over the last 10 and a half years. A lot of them were intentional, and a lot of them also were not. 50% intentional, 50% just like, yay, it happened. So because of our life circumstances and the way things unfolded, but I'm so grateful they did, even though I didn't see the benefits at the beginning of the process. So first of all, this is going to require you, potentially, to do some letting go and being a bit creative. And I would say we watched what our kids were doing and leaned into that and continue to do that. So whatever our kids naturally are doing from the time they're toddlers, we have supported that, encouraged that, and continued to give them more of what they're doing. So for example, from the time my son was 18 months old, he was using our couches to create things, building fire trucks or diggers or garbage trucks. Whatever he saw, he would use the couch cushions, pillows, whatever he could find. A broom was a regular thing to create a vehicle. And he did that for years. And my other kids used the couch for very many things as well. They got pushed around the house, and it was so cute and fun, and also mildly, like, some days it was so frustrating. I just wanted a place to sit, but mostly amazing. And so because of that, we did a couple of things. One, I first of all thought I was building storage furniture. I was not. I was building the best toys ever. We built cubes, wood cubes that are about 10 inches in width, height, diameter, depth, and the kids use them for everything. Those things become stages. They're part of vehicles. They're endlessly, I don't know, they have been used for everything. To create stores. It was an ice cream store this week, and also a motorcycle this week, and it just keeps going. There's no end to the things that the kids have been doing with these wood boxes for 8 years. All of them. It's incredible. So we've got that, and then we also bought a nugget couch probably 4 years ago now. Same nugget couch, used every single day. We use it as a couch, but it's also used to build and create things. And this was really great because eventually we did get rid of those couches that had been used as furniture, that my son's favorite toy of all time, to create space in we live in a tiny home. Well, it has small rooms. we live in a home with very small rooms. It's kind of an awkward floor plan for a big family. But, so now we don't have those fun building couches anymore. But they do have the nugget couch they're freely building with, and they have the wood boxes that they freely build with. They regularly steal things like our stools and our chairs, pretty much anything that's not heavy enough to be solidly anchored to the ground, they use. So what does this mean? One, Andrew and I are more flexible than probably most parents in letting things go places, and sometimes it's too far and we have to rein them back in. But it also means like we've got things that they set up, they use it, and then we have to put it back because it's dinner time, we need a place to sit. So that is one thing, leaning into that, fostering that creativity, supporting them in what they're doing, and not creating unnecessary rules or boundaries about how things are being used. The next thing that is really great is we read books. We read lots of stories. My kids listen to audiobooks. And because of that, they're regularly playing out stories throughout the day because that's their input. So it's also their output. It's true for you too. Be careful with what you're putting into your brain because it's what's coming out. But we also, so we encourage things that way. They have some basic costumes that they like, but then they also like to create things. And I think the reason why this started was, one, we never had loads of money as when they were little. And so anytime they wanted something, we'd be like, great, how do we make that? And we just got into the process of anytime they wanted something, we made it. My daughter wanted a shoe rack when she was little. Great, we made her one. We needed a coat rack for the kids. Great, we made one with them. So we just regularly solve, like anything they wanted, we made it. Honestly, I kind of forget you can go to the store and do things conveniently, which is a blessing and a curse. But because of that, now anytime they want something, they make it. Often they don't even ask. Oh, you want a bow and arrow? Great, they go and make it. You want some chisels for your archaeology dig? Great, they go and make it. Great, you want a hammer? Awesome, they figure out how to build it with a stick. List goes on and on and on. You want a sword or a shield? Great, they make it. So this idea of helping support them in creating, when they were little, I would get involved a lot more. Now I don't have to do as much because they've built up a lot of skills, but basically helping them create the things that they want in their life is really empowering. They make everything that they want to use. If I've got kids that are just like, I don't know, we get in these funks and it's like, well, what would they create? What would they play? I'm dry. They don't know, they don't know what to do. We go take them places. We go take them to museums or historical towns or to the fire station, I don't know, anywhere, out in the community, out in the town, and expose them to things, and something like immediately sparks. We come home. So we went to Jamestown, and for the next month, my kids had recreated this entire historical village out in the backyard. And one of my kids picked up blacksmithing. They'd observed blacksmithing, and so we went through 2 whole boxes of aluminum foil while they pounded and shaped and created with their tools that they found around the house to do blacksmithing. It was fantastic, and it took a ton of their time. So fascinating, very creative. We still have a stash of aluminum foil things in the back of one of my kids' closet that they made. But the point is like, you never know when something's going to strike. So just taking them out and exposing them to the world and then letting them come home and process that however it comes out is a beautiful thing. Having supplies handy to an extent is great. So they have pretty much free reign to cardboard, scissors, glue, tape, and paper. But I have cut off the supply of paper because it was driving me crazy. It went too fast. So not in paper anymore. But all those things, and paint, they just go and get whatever they want and then they make the thing. And next week, I'm going to share with you why that has been amazing and also like the blessing, curse, and what we're going to do differently about that. But for the most part, that has led to a very high, steep amount of creating in our home. I've already touched on the simple furniture, but I would also add, so we have the boxes that we created. We have the nugget couch. We also have play silks and we have play silks as well that is used in a lot of construction things. I would say teaching your kids basic skills. So we, taught them how to carve very basically and safely with knives, taught them how to knit, taught them how to crochet, taught them how to use a sewing machine, taught them how to hand sew, and just a little bit goes a long way. Now, different kids have different things that they really enjoy doing more than others. So I wouldn't force this on anybody, but again, just doing a little bit and exposing them to it gives them options and opportunities. And I've got some kids that pick up on it and run with it for a long time, and others that it's interesting, but no thanks. But when the need arises, they're ready. We also do weaving. They've learned, we've taken them to craft shows and they've been exposed to weaving. And so they do lots of cardboard looms and there's just kind of no end once you get started and taking kids out in the world and letting them come home and bring whatever they see into your home and what they can do with it. That's a really powerful formula. Along with that too, maybe you don't feel I can go take them all these places. I go to the library and I get tons of books about creating things, and they're inspired by that. And not even creating things, just tons of stuff. We got a book about ships and I was shocked. One of my kids went and for the next week tried to make a reed boat using like long pieces of grass that they foraged in our yard and would like tie bundles together and shape it and try and get it to float. Like that was a huge project because they saw a picture of a weed boat and a reed boat in a random book. So just exposing to lots of ideas is really helpful. Again, it kind of starts with Andrew and I. We model a lot of creation. When they want things, we answer it with, great, let's go create it. Let's help you make this. So it's a process of we model it, then we help them do it, and then we teach them skills to do it safely. We incorporate them into our big projects that we do around the house, and then we provide lots of resources of inspiration to just let them run with it. And then we have a high tolerance for letting them do that thing and getting out of the way and not controlling it and not stopping it and not, saying that's going to be too messy. Sometimes we do though. Sometimes we're like, we're at capacity. If you cross over that line, that's too much. But we do try to really support them. And also now we're working on building the skills to help them learn how to clean everything up too. But if you have kids, if you're like, oh my gosh, summer's long, what are we going to do? They're going to be so bored. They don't have to be bored. I will say the other secret sauce to this is we do let them listen to audiobooks like in the afternoon while they're doing a lot of this creation. And so it inspires ideas. It also, like, you can just do a lot more with your hands when your mind's busy. And so that is another way that we have encouraged this process as well. And then for the little kids, we start with the very basics. They have blocks, they have magnetiles, they have peg dolls. I carved those, or you can buy them. If you have more time or money, you decide how you do that. Little wood animals that I've made, or you can buy, again, time or money. Basically, it's like, if you don't have money, get creative and make things. It'll be great. You're modeling it. It's part of this whole process of teaching your kids how to be creative. If you have more money than time, awesome. Get a few things and bring them into your home so they have resources to use them with. But we had very little resources. So you get like creative, right? That's the whole point. So, if you have questions below or things that you do to help foster creativity in your kids, I would love to hear it below in the comments. Or if any of these ideas helped you, if you had an aha, let me know. And next week, we're going to talk about what are we going to do with all the things that your kids created, because if they're prolific like mine, you're going to have problems like us. And I've spent 10 years thinking about them, so I'll tell you about it next week.
Today's episode is brought to you by the Thriving in Motherhood Journal. This is my go-to tool to completely change how you will experience motherhood. I created it during some really hard seasons in my life to change how I was thinking about my life and to bring more meaning, fulfillment, and joy into the everyday and including the really hard days. This is based in the latest research of positive psychology, high performance habits, cognitive behavioral therapy, gratitude research, as well as some scriptures from the Bible to bring in a spiritual element as well. And as you learn to ask these questions to yourself, it changes how you see your day. It changes what you focus on. And as you change your focus, you will find that you are feeling so much more joy. You can learn more today at thrivinginmotherhoodpodcast.com/journal.
Where you are planted, watch the blossoms grow.